Bang! Neeves Knives. I'm Jared. My lovely wife Kara's busy, and this is going to be a quick review on the Fox Knives Baby Core. It has M390 blade steel on this spay point blade. And why am I calling this a spay point and not a sheep's foot blade? Well, if you come over here and you look at a clear example of a spay point blade, you can see the similarities in the two. This to me is a spay point blade. And spay point blades were made to use without puncturing the thing you're cutting. So when you're cutting, it was used, I think it was mainly for farming, for like, you know, cleaning up around hooves and things like that. And also you could use it for other things like skinning, etc. But it makes it to where you can use the edge without having to worry about stabbing through something. So this M390 blade does have a beautiful stone wash on it, and it is a Vox design from Maniago, Italy. Micarta scales with steel liner lock and a brass backspacer. Big hardware, which I like to see, T8s all the way around. Let's get to the action, then we'll get to the ergos. So there is no jimping on the flipper tab. It is pretty smooth, but you can flip it very easily. Now, you can also fail it pretty easily because it is tuned for both the hole and the flipper tab, but it's also easy to not fail it. So you can push button it or light switch it. Both of them work just fine, but it is tuned pretty good for both actions. The liner is pretty easy to get to. And you see you do hit that detent right there. So you want to kind of hold it a little low to be past that detent. Now this is kind of the size of a knife, because this is such a small knife that you don't really do the drop and then, you know, like let it swing. You kind of just unlock it and slap it forward with your finger. That's the way I seem to do it, or with the thumb. It just seems to work out better that way. Now you can reverse flick it, which is pretty easy, or thumb flick. Like I said, it's the detent's tuned for both the flipper tab and the reverse flick. Now the hole isn't very big though, so if you have really big hands, it might not be that easy for you, but for me, it's pretty easy. I got large hands, but, you know, they're not very thick. So just depending on the thickness, I think, of your hands. Detent is pretty well tuned. And there's jimping on the liner that also adds to the grip for when you do unlock it. Now, the ergos. This is a small compact knife, so even though it is contoured and has a good thickness to it and a good depth, it's not very long. So it's only a 3-finger knife right here, unless you use the choil. Then you can get pretty much all 4 fingers. The pinky might, you know, still kind of grasp for a place to put it, but you can hold it in a lot of good grips for up close work, which I do like, you know, even for such a small knife, especially if you're the type of person that doesn't like large knives, because you're not doing crazy amounts of, you know, a cardboard breakdown or anything like that. You know, you have specific cuts that you like to do up close and, you know, useful little cuts. Now, the cutting performance. So back here for slicing, it slices pretty good. The geometry is, it's a full flat ground for the most part, and it does pass through very well. At about 20 thousandths behind the edge, it, you know, it does work out just fine, considering it has a full flat ground blade and the blade stock isn't crazy thick. But you do have the belly here, which is basically almost all belly. So you do want to kind of angle it just right or pay attention to the blade, because you don't want the materials to get snagged in the choil or slip out because it's such a little blade. So, but with the right amount of control, it does cut, relatively decent. Now, where it's going to come into issues is the utility cuts. It's not going to be good at utility cutting. The spay point blade, it gets thick at the tip. If you look at the edge, you can see how it goes from thinner all the way up to thicker because the edge bevel gets nice and wide. Now, that means that's how thick that edge or the tip gets. So the tip is rather thick. And now, if you're just doing close-up cuts, like for slicing or to use the edge, it's going to be good. But if you're actually trying to puncture something and use it for utility cuts, it's not going to be great. If you're just cutting open packages or tape or anything like that, it's going to be fine. But for actual utility cuts where you need penetration, it's not going to work the best for utility-type cuts. Although with enough pressure, it will still work fine for utility cuts. You just have to add a little bit of extra pressure to make sure that the material is being pulled into the edge, and then it does work just fine. But for normal everyday opening stuff up and everything, it's going to work just fine. The clip is a deep carry wire clip, which wire clips always work really good. I'm going to grab my EDC pouch right here, and you can see slips in very easily. No issues with that. And, a wire clip seems to work sometimes the best, and you can get a nice deep carry out of it. It hangs on really good. It never chews up your pants, and it's very comfortable. And being a small little compact knife, it's not going to take up too much room. Now, where it can be maybe an issue is that it is a deep carry clip, and this is a small handle, so you do feel it in the hand regardless of what grip you're in. But, if you want to clip on your little small knife, that's just something that you're just going to have to get used to. Now, some bad things. What are some negative things? So there are a couple. One, I'm not a big fan of this micarta. I mean, it's okay. It's not the lowest quality micarta I've ever seen, but I thought it would be better because a lot of the Italian companies do really good with their micarta. This just doesn't happen to be one of them. I'm not a big fan of this micarta. It's okay, but it's not my favorite. Next thing is, like I said, this is 20 thousandths behind the edge, which is not that big of a deal. It does cut relatively well, but it would have been nice if it was a little thinner behind the edge, considering this is such a little compact knife. But like I said, it does cut well, and they do have a nice sharpening choil / finger choil. It's not a very big finger choil. That is another thing. It's a little small, but you can get, the first part of your finger on there, but it does give you a good amount of sharpening on there. The next thing that's kind of awkward to use, and I say that only because the tip, and this is purely on my EDC use. I tend to use the tips of my knives. So cutting with it, this belly, is rather big, so it does kind of slip out sometimes. And then using the tip for things, it just gets thick. Now, if they would have kept the tip nice and thin and acute, it would be fine even as a spay point. But since they did make it thick like an authentic spay point, it does give you a little bit of trouble. So, it's just kind of something you deal with a spay point that's, like this, where it does get thicker at the tip. It does have a reversible pocket clip. I forgot to say that. I'm sorry, guys. It does have a reversible pocket clip for lefties. But all in all, it's a good knife, cool knife, compact knife, small knife, easy to carry. It does have pretty good action, and it is, M390 and micarta. The hardware's good. Good quality. I do like the brass backspacer. I think it's a nice little touch. And, you know, it is a cool little Vox design. And, you know, it's very reminiscent of Vox designs. So I do wish it did have a little bit better quality micarta, but it still is, it's okay. It's decent. So there you guys go. Full liners on this too. I forgot to say that. That is milled out. So I'm sure you can see it. Probably didn't have to say it. There you guys go. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.